Yeah, good morning, everyone. Yes, before understanding today's concepts, let's try to recollect it what we were understanding yesterday, and then we'll continue. Yeah, yesterday, which we started understanding about elastic load balancer, the usage of the load balancer, sorry, and types of the load balancers, and which one is recommended in which context, and which one is performance oriented, and which one is going to take that some like as application the data transfer layers point of view. Yes, which one is recommended in which context. So all those things that we are concluding. But main point, like what do we have this is load balancer. So just remember that listener configuration, there is a front end and the back end endpoints configuration. So this one we can say that entry point, who can access that and from which IP address that we want to access it. This load balancer, that's we can define that through the listener and with the security groups. But once the request is received to the load balancer, but how do you forward that request to the backend EC2 instances? That is a backend endpoints. Yeah, these 2 points, listener configuration and endpoints configuration. Endpoints are nothing but we can say in the load balancer terminology, that is a target group. Yeah, which target group, which request that you want to route it. And another point which we're trying to understand is health monitoring. Yeah, target group which contain the instances, but these instances are healthy or not before routing the request to the particular service. It has to be verified by the load balancer. But how do we configure that? The health configurations, health monitoring. That is one more configuration. And another configuration which you're trying to understand that session stickiness. Session stickiness is what is this session stickiness and how that is going to helping that improving that the request and response times. That is another important concept. Yeah, all these points that we are trying to understand that. But to configure all these configurations, the main like 2 types of the load balancers are available: app load balancer and network load balancer, which supports one listener and to that backend multiple target groups. But a target groups, how do we configure it is on the basis of the protocol, port number, and a route path. Yeah, app load balancer supports protocol, port number, and a route path. That is a path route options. But network load balancer supports only TCP or UDP based protocols with the port based. The rules, but you cannot define the route based rules. Yeah, so there are some points which are understanding, and we started to create that the application load balancer. Any type of the process is almost the same. Yeah, we started the process of understanding the creating load balancer. Let's try to create a load balancer. Yeah, so load balancer name. That is, we are going to talk at this one as web server load balancer. And the scheme, is it internet facing or internal? Yes, internet facing as a public access point of view. And IP address support, is it required to only IPv4 or a dual stack also? IPv4 and IPv6 that is required, then you can use it dual stack or otherwise IPv4. Then network mappings. Yes, this load balancer is going to looking at the backend endpoints which are running that in the data center. Says which data center that you want to map it this load balancer. Yeah, that is VPC with the availability zones as per the region. So at least 2 regions, at least 2 availability zones that is recommended. Even one availability zone lost it, then the application instances are running in another availability zone. And security groups, as we are talking about it, this is before entering into the load balancer. Yeah, load balancer, whatever the listener you are configuring that, yes, that's port. And from which IP addresses that you want to access that, that's you need to define it. Yesterday already we are creating this load balancer on the port 80. Yes, as we are configuring with the listener 80 port and allowing that any IP address. In the security group we are defining. Or if you are going to use it other listeners, suppose 443 also, then you need to add it the security group also allowing that 443. This is the listener side. As we are understanding, this is the listener side security group. Yes, on which port that you want to receive the request to the load balancer? That port allowing at security group level. So that is the configuration. We are talking that in the security group and the listener. You can add that multiple listeners on the basis of the multiple ports. Yes, 80 request is receiving. Which target group that you want to route it? Or 81, you can add that another listener, 81 port, 82 port, like there are multiple ports. The users who are going to access that on the basis of the ports, yes, you can define that multiple listeners. But important is backend mapping to the target group. Yes, any request which is receiving to the load balancer on this port 80, on the port 80 to the load balancer, to which target group that you want to route into that. That's we can configure in the target group section. So let's create a target group here. Actually, first we can create a target group and we can come back to this one as well as, or during load balancer creation time itself, we can do this, the creating a target group. Yeah, now let's talk it. So that's how do you create a target group? Target group is nothing but what is the main point? The EC2 instances, you are grouping that together. But EC2 instances you are grouping is nothing but on the EC2 instance, application should be running, right? Yes, that's application service. That is a port is required. Whenever you are configuring that, the target group, yes, instance based. And in this instance, which service is running? Suppose if the port 80 is running, yes, service is 80 port. Or if the Tomcat is running, port number is 8080 as per the Tomcat. So what is the service it is running? That service information also you need to define it. Okay, instance is nothing but IP address. But once IP address is reached, that is system is reached. But what about that application? Application is going to run it on the server, right? That server port also we need to define. And maybe in the server, we can have it 2 or more applications. App A, App B, App C, like that multiple application can be run it on the server. As yesterday we were talking about the users or reports. So then application path also important. Yeah, those 3 are the inputs. What are the inputs if you're going to define the target group? Do you want to route it on the basis of the instances? If it is the instance, within the instance, what it is running, which service is running, the service ports, and in that service, which application does do you want to route it? That application path. Actually, we're talking about the context path. So these are all the main inputs that we need to define in the target group. So let's observe that those inputs while configuring the target group. Yeah, specify the target group details. Yes, choose a target type. Which type? Instance based we are routing that. Or if you have that IP addresses, IP address based, we can define it. Or if you have this lambda function you can define it, or you can map into that other load balancer also. So this load balancer is going to map into that other load balancer. So offers the flexibility for a network load balancer to accept and route to TCP request within a specific VPC. This is the internal point of which can be used. But here we are going to use it instances based. Okay, so that is the first target type. Yes, we are going to choose the targets on the base of the instances. And just give the target group name. This is for identification. Let me give that the web server target group. Now in these instances, what is the service it is running? The service we need to define it. There is a protocol HTTP and port number is 80. A protocol with a port number. So we are planning to run it on the EC2 instances, the 80 port. Okay, that's we are mapping that. So we are mapping the instances based. And in these instances, which port it is we are running, this is HTTP server we are running. And HTTP server, what is the port? 80 port. The protocol is HTTP and port is 80. Suppose Tomcat is running. Tomcat on which port? 8080. Then you need to define that Tomcat server port. Or if the WebLogic is running or some other server is running, that's our port we need to define it. But for the timing, let's go ahead using that web server. And these servers are running in which VPC? Yes, this is the VPC and protocol version. The go for the default option. And now health checks, as we are talking that one of the important configuration. So how do you want to check that this is server status? So okay, now we are saying about it. We are instructing to the load balancer by defining the target group. In the target group, yes, choose the targets on the base of the instances, and the instances which are running the port with 80. Yeah, that's we have defined so far. But now health checkups, how do we do that? This instance is reachable or not, that is the first point. If the instance is reachable, then the service is reachable or not, that is port number. But within the port, application, is it available or not? So that application, the paths we need to define it. So that is health check path. I would like to check it health on the base of the root application. Or if I may have that users application /users, or if I may have in that the application something reports, then the /reports. If this is reachable, my report application is reachable, then route it the request to the reports application. But we are using about it HTTP service and the default route path is that is root.
So it's like it will send hello packets, something like that, to perform health checks.
Yes, exactly. It is going to send some packets on this path. So it is going to choose these instances and with this port, and in this port, if this is reachable, then it says that's okay. That means it is kind of packets, it is going to send that with the interval. And if it receives the 200 status code, then it says that it is okay. Otherwise, it is going to mark the health as a failed.
So it will send us any email alert stating this is down.
Yeah, that is, we'll talk about that. Email notifications, that is the external notification which we can configure it. That is, I'll come back later. But here it is, no, it doesn't send it. The load balancer, it doesn't send it. By default, the notifications, the load balancer is going to just identifying that whether I need to forward this request to this EC2 instance or not. These are health checkups. But to get that email notifications and all that, that is different about our monitoring system, the CloudWatch, which we'll discuss that.
Okay, yeah, I got it.
Or in the auto scaling group, the dynamic point of view, you can define it. But a load balancer is not having automatically. In case the health is got failed, it doesn't send the email, but it is going to considering it. Okay, I should not route the request
And
to
the
this
routed.
EC to it. That is routing level. It is going to use it the health checkups. Got the point?
Yes, sir, yes, sir, yeah.
Yeah. So now, so it is going to check that the instances within that instances, this port, and in this port with this path. If that is okay, then it is going to route the request to the instances. Otherwise, it is going to mark it the health of that service or that instance is unhealthy. I'll show that all these statuses also. And here one more point, yes, you can define that health checkup settings as we're talking about the interval. So what is the interval that you want to use it to check that whether the backend instance is ready or not? Yes, we can control it. That is threshold. You see this one point like interval. So what is the default interval? 30 seconds. That means every 30 seconds, the load balancer is going to keep on verifying that the backend targets on that instances and a particular port and a particular route path. Is it okay or not? If it receives the success code 200, then it marks that as a success. Otherwise, it is going to mark it as unhealthy and it is not going to send the request to that instance. Yeah, so this is interval 30 seconds. And here healthy threshold. That means identifying that health of the instance. Suppose maybe sometimes because of the network failures, sometimes yes, that service is unhealthy. I mean, it is marked, it is received that something 404 some status code other than 200. But immediately it should not mark like as a failure, right? So it is repeatedly happening that. Suppose every 30 seconds it is keep on checking that. Okay, it is whenever it is verified that it is got the response saying that 404. But immediately it should not mark it as unhealthy, right? So it has to check it some consecutive health checkup. Consecutive health checkup, or how much time it is going to use it? 5 times. 5 times if it is healthy, then it is going to mark it as a healthy. Or unhealthy to mark it 2 times. That means within the 1 minute, 2 times it is going to check in that. These 2 times, if it is received other than 200 status code, then that instance is going to mark it as a failure. That means 1 minute a time it is taking that. But if you would like to reduce the time, yes, interval decrease it. Now within the 20 seconds, you are going to identify about your instance is healthy or not. Okay, if it is unhealthy, then we got it, yes, some that like the notification on the system level you have configured instance level. But this health checkup, this is just for request routing options. But next, okay, so the service is ready. Okay, it is verified the first 10 seconds. Okay, healthy. That is 200 shares, it is got it. Next, again, the 10 seconds, 200 shares codes. Like that, healthy, 50 seconds, that means the 5 times. If it is received that 200 status code, then it is going to mark that HTTP service is back. And it starts routing the request to the instance by the load balancer. Even if you don't want that much time, yes, so 3 if I define it, that means within the 30 seconds, so 3 times in the consecutively, 3 times that service is healthy, then it starts routing the request to the backend instance. Yeah, so there are some important configurations to identify that whether the backend services are healthy or not. So interval, don't keep that the long duration of the interval. Long duration we are defining is nothing but sometimes the failures identification, and the client sometimes they get it about that the failures, right? Because the load balancer is taking that the interval long duration is nothing but, yes, it takes time to identify that unhealthies. Yeah, if you need that accurate, minimize these seconds. That means more monitoring required. Yeah, there are some important thresholds like a healthy threshold, unhealthy threshold, timeout of this, interval, and what is the success code that you want to add. A success code mostly that's a 200, 2xx. If you receive that, that is successful. Yeah, so this is the important some settings which are helping that to define the backend instance that service is healthy or not. This is for routing the request. Yeah, so that's about the important configurations. We are going to choose the targets on the base of the instances which are running. I mean, in that instances, the port, the 80, and healthy. That's this is the path we are verifying that default HTTP service, the default index.html, right? The slash root is nothing but index.html. When that file is reachable, then it is good. The HTTP service is reachable. That is the meaning of it. And we can define that health check settings, that is interval, healthy threshold, unhealthy threshold, timeout options, and status codes. And finally, you can define the tags. You can add the tags for this target group. And let's go ahead next. And now, but we need to define the instances, right? Now we can register the targets. But this is as we are talking that the static approach. But I don't have any instances to register it. I'm just going to the leaving that because we didn't create any EC2 instances to add to this target group. But anyway, I'll go for this reaching the targets later. We can do later also. Let's create a target. Yes, now I have created the target group, but in this target group, we don't have any instances. Yes, this is the target group which I have created. And port is a 80 protocol HTTP and the target type is instance based. But load balancer have associated this. So what is the meaning here? We just define these group of instances as a target group, but even the instances are not available and load balancer is also not mapped. Now let's go back to the load balancer to associate it. Already we are doing here, right? Yes, now if you refresh this, now you can find that the target group which you have created. You can select this target group. Now the load balancer, if it receives this on the HTTP protocol for the port 80 to the load balancer, we are forwarding that request to the web server target group. Now this is the web server target group. But in this target group, do you have any instances? We didn't add any instances, right? If you see the targets, we don't have any targets. We didn't register it. You can register now also or later also. That is about your choice. But we didn't do that still. Okay, we'll come back to that. That's adding that those instances. Yeah, so now to this load balancer, we have defined the target group also. Now additional services not required and the tags you can add it for this load balancer. Yes, that's a key name of this load balancer. So we are going to identify this one as a web server load balancer. And finally, this is a summary. Yeah, we are defining the internet facing for the IPv4 addresses and security group and network mapping. Yes, we have mapped this load balancer to that 1A and 1B. And a listener, yes, HTTP with 80 if it is received and it is routing to that web server target group. So that is the overall the configuration of this load balancer. Now let's go ahead and create a load balancer. Are you clear these steps? Now here you can find that load balancer section, the load balancer which I have created. Yeah, so this is a load balancer. Still, there is a provisioning. It is starting that. It takes some time. And it is mapped to the two availability zones. And which type of the load balancer? This application load balancer. And at what time it has been created. And you can find the target groups in the target group section. Yes, now this is the target group which I have created. And this target group is going to have the ports 80. And it is going to identify the targets, or it is going to manage the targets in this target group on the base of the, the target type as instance. That instance which is having the port number 80. Yes, now the load balancer has been associated to this target group. Yes, this is the load balancer which has been associated, and in this VPC. But do you have any targets here? No targets. This will come back. Targets adding. Now let's wait for that until getting ready of this load balancer. Now still that's a status issue in the provisioning. It is not active. And once it is active, we can use this load balancer endpoint. Yeah, so this is a DNS name. So we can use it this DNS name and we can access the load balancer. So let me copy this DNS name. So where you can find it? So go to the load balancer. Still there is a provisioning. Yes, now it has come back to that active. We are good. But how do I access this load balancer URL? In the details section, you can see this all the properties, whatever we have created. And finally, you can see this one of the property DNS name. So now you can use it this DNS name to access the load balancer. Yes, now we are able to access the load balancer. We are good. But backend, what is the error we are getting that? 503 service. Why we are getting the 503 services? In the target group, do you have any targets?
No targets instance.
No targets. Yeah, the load balancer and everything it is mapped to the target group. But in the target group, we don't have any registered targets. So that means the load balancer is able to communicate it to the backend target group, but in the target group, the service is not available. So whenever we have this kind of the status code, the make sure that the backend services are available or not. That is important. Sometimes we get it the bad gateways. 502 bad gateway. That is one more status code. 5xx, either 502, 503. These kind of the status codes, if you see in the browser, whenever you are accessing that application, immediately troubleshooting mechanism point of view, what we can think of it is backend service health. Is it okay or not? We need to check it. Backend services. That means load balancer, everything is okay. Now, what do we do that is to get ready of this application. So we go for launching the two instances. Let me go to that EC2. Already, do we have the template? Yeah, yes, we have this template. We can use it this template as well as. But okay, I would like to go for launching the instances in 1A and 1B.
This DNS name, can we again change it in the FQD, in DNS servers?
No, this one is not required to change it, but we defined this one through the actual about our DNS names, custom DNS names.
Can we edit it? Because now, example, when I run an application, I cannot give this type of path, right? A smaller path with an IP or something like that in a real-time application.
Yes. You cannot do that here. So this one you cannot change it. But later Route 53 concepts will come back. That is especially DNS service. There we can talk it about.
Okay.
Got the point?
Yes.
So here you see this, you don't see that any properties which belong to that changing about this DNS name. This is the A type of record has been created. But this one we can take it and we can define with about our custom DNS. Suppose
Okay.
about our application team or like some testing team, they would like to use that internal some DNS name. Then we can create it the subdomains in our DNS record set, that is Route 53, and we can map to this load balancer and we can give that URL.
Okay.
That is, we will come back next level.
Okay. Thank you.
We have that option also, we'll come back to that. Suppose I would like to access that rnstech.com. Then I need to access this application. But we don't give it this DNS name, right? But this one we can use it as a backend target group to the DNS name, custom domain name configurations. Okay. Then now what we are talking that? Let's launch the EC2 instance. We can launch that EC2 instances with the template also. I'm going to launch the instances with the template. Number of instances. Okay, let me launch it one by one because I need to have it in two different subnets. And I'm going to use the version 1, which we are trying to use it. Version 1, what was that? T2 micro. If I use it version 2, T2 small. Now we were understanding this concept before. Yeah, I would like to use that version 1. And AMI, that is fine. Instance type, that is fine. Key pair, yes, I'm going to use this key pair. To make sure I need to have it. Okay, this is web server security group, that's fine. And storage volume, but let me use that network settings point of view. I would like to launch this one instance in 1A. Yes, now I'm going to define that the 1A, this instance. So let me launch the instance. Yeah, now I have launched this one EC2 instance in AP South 1A. And one more point, user data, I didn't check it about it. Okay, anyway, so I hope so. User data is already available, right? We have defined the template. Let me go ahead launching this one more EC2 instance in 1B. I'm going to use the same template and same version also. But network, I would like to use it that 1B. So two instances we are launching. One is in 1A and second one is in 1B. As a as we're talking that the high availability. High availability, if you just talk it, at least the two instances required and these two instances in the two different availability zones. Even one data center last also will be having that one more data center. Yeah, security group and all this are the same thing, same options. And let me check it the one more time. The user data section, what we were defining is okay. Welcome to Rise and Shine. But this is just showing that welcome to Rise and Shine, right? But what I would like to do is, let me do some customization here. I don't want this only welcome. What I would like to do is, I would like to see that in which region that instance is belong to that. Because whenever we are testing from the load balancer, I need to check it to which instance it is routing that. So I would like to customize this user data section. Let me take it. Already we were using the before one user data block code. Yeah. So this is a block. Let me use it because this is going to give it the complete details of hello world from this instance in the availability zone also. In which availability zone the instance is running, it is going to give the details. So I would like to use this code. The first instance I will terminate it and I'll relaunch this new one with this code. So let me terminate this. This one also I will modify it. I don't want this because this is the showing that only welcome to some hello world something, but I don't want that. This instance. Okay, so let me launch it one more. And this one 1A. And user data I would like to change it. Because if you just it shows that welcome to Rise and Shine, we cannot understand that this instance is belong to that the which availability zone. That's why I'm changing this user data. Okay, so we're good. Launching the two EC2 instances. Are you following everyone? The points?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Yeah, now I have launched 1A and a 1B. That's two instances. So let's wait some time. And first, let me check it individually. So I'll take it this system IP address. And I'll check it this ready or not. Then we'll come back to this load balancer wise integration. But this is just loading the test page, but we are expecting, okay, good. So this is why I just changed the user data. Hello world from this IP address, and this is from AP South 1A. And next instance, let me check it that also.
I faced this issue only, sir. Subnet I selected 1B
Yeah,
and
yes.
public IPv4 we need to enable it.
That is 1B by default.
Yes, sir.
That public IP is not enabled. That's why we don't see that public IP address here.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That should be enabled at the subnet level, so it is not given. So let me launch it quickly. The 1B instance. Didn't observe that. The 1B, right? The 1B, whenever we select it,
Here down, sir. Yes.
so this is the template level we have selected, right? Okay, let me do one thing. what I do is I go to the VPC. Subnet 2, the actions, edit subnet settings. So by default, it is not enable that public IPv4 address for this subnet. Yes, you can enable this option here. Then next time onwards, what are the instances you are launching in the 1B? Then automatically that is going to take it that the public IP address assigning that. So is it clear?
Yes,
So
sir.
this is the subnet level setting. And subnet 1, if you just observe that, that setting is already enabled. But subnet 2 is not configured. That's why we are not getting that the public IP. So now we have enabled anyway this one also. So we will get it automatically whenever we launch the instance. Where is that? Yeah. Whenever we launch the instance with the subnet, automatically we will get it the public IP address. Fine, so let me go ahead and let's try to use this advanced details. Let me copy that code. But even you can add that load balancer wise, no issues about this one private IP address, but externally to access that, that is not available. That's all. Even you can use it that instance to map into that the load balancer, no issues. Load balancer wise, no issues. But to access that explicitly, that is not available, the public IP. Anyway, I'll try to keep this instance also. Let's wait for getting ready of this service testing. So first I am verifying that my individual services, the backend individual services, I'm just verifying that those are all reachable and they're all ready with the application or not. Now what is the context path here? :80/. So that's same meaning, right? Meaning is the same here itself. That's we have defined the health check options, if you remember that. Instance based with the port 80 and the path is the root. Okay, so it is also loaded. This is AP South 1B and this is AP South 1A. Are you clear now? The backend instances are ready, right? So I have just launched that each instance, 2, 3 we have, 2 are running with public and 1 is only private. No issues. Even that is a private only recommended. That is, we'll come back in the networking sections. Yes, now thus I have the total 3 instances and they're all individually running. They're all not group. But still, if I'm going to try to access the load balance URL, what is it is showing that? Service temporarily unavailable. That means backend services are not available still in the target group. Now let's go to the target group section. And targets, So now we don't have any targets. Now we can go ahead and register the targets. Yes, now we see that there are all the instances which are having, but make sure that these instances should contain the port 80 as we have defined health checks point of view. But yes, we have these three instances with 80. Yes, in 1B, two instances, in 1A, another instance. You can choose it, which instances that do you want to add it. Let me add it the three, no issues. Or if you have this only particular instances you can add it. Okay, let me add it, include as pending below. Yes, these two have been added. Health status, still it is checking that. It takes some time, right? Every 10 seconds interval, it is going to check it. And healthy threshold, we have defined the 3 intervals. That means it is going to take it approximately 30 seconds to identify that the health of these instances. Getting ready of this. Episode 1A, 1B. So let's register that. All these instances. Yes, now you see the health status it is showing that initial. Now if I try to access the load balanced URL, yes, so we are good. That is routing. But it is routed to that 1A. Now if I just refresh this, yes, 1B, 1A, 1B, 1A, 1B, as we are talking that the round robin algorithm it is using. First request to that one instance, another request to that another instance. So default, what is the algorithm it uses that? A round robin algorithm. Now suppose if you like.
Sir, small doubt. If it is a round robin algorithm, in this case, south 1A and 1B, we are routing 1A or 1B. So what is the threshold to route for 1A and what is the threshold to move on to 1B as we are using cyclic round robin now, sir? What is the threshold we have in this case?
Threshold, that is on the basis of the number of instances which you have. Other than that, I don't see that any specific explicit configuration. That is threshold in the sense you are asking about it the request point of view, or is it the which context?
No, sir. Here for we have done one refresh. No, it has been routed to 1A. Now after all, one more request, again it is 1A. And after when you have done one more refresh, it's being routed to 1B. After how much time it's being routed to 1B? Is there anything like that or what? It depends on the availability.
Okay, so you are asking about it. Okay,
Yeah,
suppose whenever I hit it this time, so that's 1A. Now see, so here whenever I'm using this refresh option that is on the basis of the cache system.
Okay.
So here I am talking about the request. Request is just actually that is a submission of the request. Actually, this is a submission. Now you see this in this submission, it is routing to that first request one server, second request to another server. But if I use the refresh that is on the basis of the cache. So that is a front end page cache wise it is taking that. But instead of this the refresh, use it enter keyword in the browser. Then you see this the clarity, one request to that 1A, another request to that 1B. Is it clear now?
If we have 4 or 5 instances, means in that case.
That is one by one. One by one, it is going to use it.
It will being distributed among the 5.
Yes. Use a first request to the first instance, second request to the second instance, third request to the third instance, fourth request to the fourth instance. Like that, it is going to use a round robin by default. Suppose if I added one more EC2 instance to this, let me add it. Already we have the targets, right? So already two we were adding this. These two, 1A, 1B, 5597. 5597. So let me add it this one. and register the pending services. Yeah, now you see this health checkups, you can find it here. And in case the health checkup is got failed, now you can get it in the monitoring section, the health of the instances, and do we have any unhealthy statuses or unhealthy instances or not, unhealthy hosts, healthy hosts, unhealthy hosts, average, and the response time, the healthy host average, and how many requests that have been received to the instances. Yeah, this is some details which you can analyze it. And health checks at any time you can configure it as we are talking about it is the path based. So healthy threshold, unhealthy threshold, timeout, interval, success code. Whatever we are talking that, yes, you can edit at any time. You can change these settings. Okay, now let's see this. What is the status of these three? Yeah, it is saying this unhealthy as it is defined IPv4 paste, but that IPv4 is not assigned. So that's why it is got failed. Health checks got failed. And now, yeah, that is not defined with the network interface. That's why it is showing that total 3 targets and 2 healthy and 1 is unhealthy. Yeah, as it is AP South 1B, 2 instances, 1 is healthy, 1 is unhealthy. As it is not assigned that network interface, right? The subnet point of view, the 1B, the initially. So it was not the launched. So let's now, just like if you just go back to that. But in the auto scaling group, we will get it the more details of that why it is got failed also. The health check failed. That's we can get it. But now as an interface, no interface is available. That's why it is showing that unhealthy. So yes, you can just skip this for the time in this instance. But now the load balancer point of view, you can see that it is routing to, don't try to use a refresh. And then use the enter keyword in the browser. That is to understand it round robin. Now it is not at all routing to that 1B, right? It is going to route to that only 1A. Why it is? Let's see that. This is available. This is also available. But why it is routing that only 1A? Okay, 1B also it is routing. Maybe that is a cache issue. But if you'd like to route into the same instance, we have that another option. As we were talking that yesterday, yeah, it is unhealthy instance. It is trying to forward to this instance also, but as a round robin, and it is not able to do that. Let me remove this instance, then we see that exact results. Removing is nothing but this is just from target group. We are just removing this instance, but this is not completely instance termination. As it is the number of instances point of it is going to try to routing that. Now let me remove this and let's try to check it now. Let's wait for it. Use that ignition window, then you will get it more clarity on this the request, because I'm submitting from the same window. Sometimes the cache problems also. Yeah, now it is routing to that 1A and 1B. As a number of instances which are available, it is trying to keep on using that the instances based, instance count based. But if it is unhealthy, it is not routing to that the same instance which was using the before, whatever it was used. But now we have only 2 instances which are in healthy. It is routing to that alternative, right? The 1A and 1B. But even that's more the performance point of view, as we are talking the one more concept is session stickiness. Session stickiness. What was that which you were trying to understand yesterday? The session stickiness. Are you getting these points?
Sir,
Still that is in the draining state only. So that is removing from the group. Now what I would like to do this is, as a session based application routing, application load balancer, one more beauty what we have is, I don't want to route into that using the round robin. The round robin, if you use it, yes, on the base of the instances which we have, it is taking about it, routing the request. But same user, now I am using the same browser, right? And now you also can try it from about your browser. Suppose if I share it this the link, this load balancer link, you also can try it from about your browser. So different users can access that at the different request, but I'm using the same browser. So that's the cache systems and all that internal components that will be applicable. But yes, like if you are going to use it at the different windows, definitely we see this the different request routing to the different instances. But my request, whatever the consecutive subsequent request which you are submitting, as a performance optimization point of view, it has to be routed to the same EC2 instance. Now suppose this has been routed to that 1A is nothing but, yes, all my subsequent requests, whatever I'm going to submit it, it should be routed to that the same instance. Then I will get it, my session and the session performance wise some time saving. That is response time will be fast. So instead of using that the different the instances, it has to use the same instance. So how do you handle that is, so if you go to the target group, this is the target group level settings. So select the target group and edit target group attributes. Yeah, here you can see there's some deregistration delay. So that means during the training time, so what is the time that is available? Almost 300 seconds. Suppose any instance which is removing from this target group, what is the time to wait for in-flight request to complete? Because any request which are processing that, it has to be completed, right? So the default deregistration time, that means completely removing from the load balancer, this from this target group, that instance, it is configured with 300 seconds. And slow start duration. That means whenever you are adding the instance to the target group.
Sir, we can customize it now, sir. We can reduce the 300 seconds.
Yes.
Also.
Instead of waiting for the 300 seconds, okay, within
we can put as 100 seconds also.
Yes, 30 seconds also.
Yeah.
Because
it's only the removing training of the instance from the target group only.
Yes, correct.
But the instance is available.
Yeah, until that instance is going to mark it as a, the load balancer is going to mark it as don't forward the new request, but existing request should handle that. See, already I have submitted my request and you are deregistering that instance. but my request is processing by that instance. Then what should happen to that? If it is, if I say this is 0, then immediately that will be deregistered.
That's not, yes sir, I can understand.
That is not good, right? Because my request is
already existing request which is being processed by instance has to be completed.
It has to be completed. That is on the basis of the session timeouts of the user, we can define it. Application session timeouts based, we can configure this deregistration delay. That means once the request is received, some requests which are going to take it like on the basis of the SQL queries which are executing processing point of view, maybe the loading of the data point of view, maybe the 1 minute, 2 minutes required. So on the base of the existing request completion point of view, you can define this deregistration delay from the 0 to those many seconds. But immediately that is not recommended. In the production, if you say the 0, that is immediately. That means any existing requests are there, that will be interrupted. Got the point?
Yes, sir. It depends on the application that's
yes, exactly. Application, the request processing time point of view. Suppose we have the KPIs, maximum response time of that instance is something like 2 minutes. That's 120 seconds. Then you can configure that. Wait for that 150 seconds. That means any request which has been submitted, maximum what is that KPI? 120 seconds. So, but we are keeping that 150 seconds. Any request which is processing also, that will be completed. So that is on the basis of the application KPIs response times. Then you can decide this deregistration delay. Okay, slow start duration. Yes, any new instance which is starting in this target group, new instance which is starting. Then what is the wait time for it? 0 is nothing but immediately. Yeah, whenever we are hitting about it, immediately that is considering about it third instance also. But sometimes whenever the servers you are starting, it has to start the service, application loading, application data loading. It takes some time. That means you should not forward the request until that 1 minute or 2 minutes. Then if you have that kind of the requirement, then you can configure that start duration. And a load balancing algorithm, by default, as we're talking about it, a round robin. Or you can define the least outstanding request also. That means the instance which is having that the least request, then it is going to identify that instance will be routed.
The least outstanding means?
See, suppose we have the 2 instances, one instance which is routed already handling that something 40 request, and another instance which is handling the 30 request. Which one is having that least outstanding request now?
30.
31. So that's the load distribution. Now it is going to consider that which one is having the least request.
Okay.
That is on the basis of the load on the instance currently. Yeah, so default algorithm is round robin, as we're talking that. And here, yes, as we're talking, that's one more important thing is application load balancer stickiness. So particular request, suppose now I'm requesting this from this browser. All my subsequent requests should be routed to that my AP South 1A instance only. It should not route it to the another instance. Because first request to one instance and second instance to another instance, that is as we're talking about it round robin. But if it is going to use like this, so here this is the simple application where we don't have any sessions here. But if with the session, that is login and logout options, we have that application. So latencies will be having that's impact. So to overcome that, what we can do is session stickiness, we can enable it. Yeah, it is going to generate by the load balancer. But application team, they say that application based cookie, then we need to enable that application based cookie. But recommended is load balancer generated cookie and stickiness duration. So how much time that you want to manage that session cookie? So if I say that's like 1 minute, that means up to 1 minute, the session cookie is available. After that, it is going to route to that another instance. Yeah, so this duration you can define it. There's 1 minute or 1 hour. Suppose banking application, we don't manage it that too much time. So there's 2 minutes maximum. We see that the same sessions. After that, even the session is not using, that will be invalidated. Then you need to relog in back. Yeah, this is the one beauty configuration to reduce the latencies from the same the user subsequent request to handle that. Yeah, cross-zone load balancer. So if you have this other load balancer routing, all that. Yes. Now let's save these changes. So what are the main things here? Deregistration delay, start duration, load balancing algorithms, and stickiness configuration. Now I have enabled the stickiness, and if I save it, now you also can try that whatever I have shared it, that the link. Then if you try to access it from about your browser, now you see this all my requests are routing to that 1B only. Okay, now it is taking the cache something. But actually different browsers, if you use it, then you will get it accurate value. Now if you see this, it is taking from that all my subsequent requests as the stickiness has been enabled. Even the round robin, definitely. But whatever the time you have defined the stickiness, that much time from the same browser, it will be routed to the same instance. I see this, it is showing that always 1 year. Is it clear about these points? Session stickiness and health checker configurations, and as well as yes, the targets defining and the load balancer defining. Just define what we need it. Then remaining story, the load balancer is going to take care of it, right? Suppose if I shut down that one of the instance, let me go back to the instances section. So I'm going to shut down that 1B related all the instances. Anyway, one of the instance anyway we are not using, only one instance. Now I'm going to use it only 1 year. Now if I use it that new private window something, let me open that the new window, and let's try to use this load balancer URL. Now even if we shut down that one instance also, it is going to route to that the 1 year, right? But always this is here only 1 year. But if I directly try to access this one before, so now 1 year is available, fine, but 1B is not reachable. But load balancer wise, the users who are going to access that, they are not impacted, right? The load balancers wise, the users who are accessing that, they are not impacted. But if you are trying to use it to direct to these URLs, yes, now 1B is keep on trying to connect it, but that is not reachable. That has got down. Yes, now this 1B is down and only 1A is available, but load balancer is going to take care of that. So routing to that always 1A. Now if we check it, that's load balancer in the target groups, health checkups. So now this instance from the 1B is unused. Target is in the stopped state. Clearly we can see the state of that instance. And only 1A is healthy. Are you clear about this point? And load balancer wise also, if we just verify that the listeners, yes, as we have defined one listener, right? So any requests which are coming to this load balancer HTTP:80, we are routing to the web server target group. And the group level stickiness is, are you showing that off? But we were enable that. That is not refreshed. Let me refresh this. Actually, stickiness. Tags we didn't define it. Let me. So attributes, if we just stop it that. Stickiness is on, but it is not updated to that. The group level stickiness, it is saying that load balance level. In the listener section, so for this it is saying that's off, but that is enabled. That's no issue. That's maybe the refresh issue. Yeah, so for this request which are coming to that, we are routing to that web server security group, but here we have only one instance which is available. But let me bring it that another instance also. That is AP South 1B. Oh, let's try to. Let me shut both. So once we start it, it is going to add that identifying about it in this target group too. And as that's rules which have been defined, one rule which is defined. But what is that rule it is defined if you would like to verify it? Now, what is the rule which we have defined? That is a forwarding to target group, right? But suppose here, which kind of that the path we have defined? Suppose just the slash, only one. But in this HTTP 80 or 8080, any service, whatever it is, doesn't matter that in this forwarding target group. But I have the slash users, which has to be routed to that one target group, and the slash reports, it has to be another target. Then how do we define these rules here? Now for any request which is coming that's 80, we are routing to that web server target group. This is one-to-one mapping, one listener, one target group. But as we are understanding that yesterday, that's application load balancer point of view, this is one-to-one mapping. But you have the slash user, it has to be routed to that one target group. Or you have the slash search to that another target group. So if you have this kind of the requirement, then how do you do that? So how do you handle that case? Yes, that's point of view. The here, suppose if you go back to the load balancer section, the listeners, yeah, one listener only, but with multiple groups. But if you'd like to define this, let's select this. So now the HTTP protocol with the 80 port, whenever it is receiving, we are forwarding to this web server target group. But if you have this like multiple, you can add it that. So let me, the user interface has been changed. Yeah, the group level stickiness here it is defined, but let me go ahead, add actions, editing that existing listener. Okay. This is one forward, but I would like to define this multiple forward options. The area has been changed, the user interface. Let me check it one more time. Okay, so rules area has been given. Manage rules. Yeah, so here you can define the rules. One we are saying about it. If it is received as like HTTP:80, the forwarding to that web server target group. But if you would like to add it another rule, so another rule, it is kind of path is, as we are talking about it, users. So on this listener, the HTTP protocol with port 80. So first what we have defined, the default path. We didn't specify there's any path which is routing to the web server target group. But I have that /users. So if it is received the request to the listener on this HTTP:80/users, that is a path. Then I would like to route into that target group, which I have the different target. Then you can choose that the target group. That means the requests which are coming this through this HTTP:80 with the /users, which will be routed to the different target group. But you need to create first the target group, the instances which are handling about this users application. So are you clear about this one? So this is one path we have defined. This is the default path is this one, okay? And even that users also coming that I am forwarding. Like that multiple the rules we can add it that. So now if you go back to that, insert one more rule. So the path is as /reports. As the reports which are talking that, yes, we need to forward to the particular target group. If you have this other target group, you can define that. Like this, multiple rules you can define it. Listener is only one. Listener is only one. That is HTTP:80. But /user, yes, if you have the different target group, that target group you can forward it. If it is received the /reports, you can forward to that another target group if you have anything. And is it clear about this one? How do we define the listener level multiple rules? So listener is only one, but we have defined those multiple rules. So they have just changed the user interface. Before it was directly it was there, but now you can go to the rule section and you can add the rules of the listener. Now you see that one listener we have defined. If the reports is received to this target group, if the /users the request is received, we are routing to this one, or the no other rule, that means default, then we are routing to this target group. But if you have this, I mean, you can create multiple target groups on the basis of these applications or the modules which are running. First, you can create a target groups and you can map it for this request, this target group, for this request, another target group, for this request, another target group. But listener is only one.
That means we are categorizing the requests.
Yes.
We are moving the requests depending upon the type that
yes,
is being
context path.
Yeah.
Suppose whenever we are requesting this, that's load balancer URL. So with a /users. If the user's request is receiving, so we are routing to the different target group. Or if it is a reports is receiving that, so that is like that, the which we can define it and where that application is running, and you can handle that. But now it is routing to the web server, but within that web server we don't have any reports application, right? That's why it is showing that URL not found, this resource not found. But in that target group, if that path-based the service is running, then that report module will be loaded. Are you clear about this? One of the important concept, how do we manage it, one listener with multiple target groups. So this is the section which we are trying to understand. And session stickiness defining at group level, I mean the target group level is recommended, because this application maybe session stickiness is required, and this target group, the session stickiness is not required. Then target group level enable that stickiness instead of that at a load balance. Load balance level, if you enable that, that is going to applicable to all the target groups. Is it clear this point? So any queries, questions? Yes, please let me know.
Sir, once can you tell that session stickiness for this?
Yes. Yeah, session stickiness as simplicity is suppose as we are understanding.
That I know, sir. For this case, now you have told that which
Load balancer level.
Yes, sir. This I know. Session stickiness I know. I am aware. But here,
see, session stickiness, we have the two scopes. One is defining a target group level.
Okay.
If you define this target group level, so this is specific to that in this target group, what all the application which are running there, those application will be applicable.
Okay.
But if you enable that, the load balance level also is available. Suppose if I go to the load balancer and the details and actions, if you see, edit load balancer attributes, traffic configuration, headers configuration, monitoring. See that group level one session stickiness is available, right? Somewhere we are observing that. Let me open this once again. Yeah, in the listeners itself, if you go to the listener configuration, yeah, now here you can see this group level stickiness is available, but this is if you define it for this listener, all the requests which are coming to that in this listener level, what all the applications or what all the targets groups it is forwarding that, it is going to applicable for all the target groups. But suppose you have the requirement, this application should be handled with the session stickiness. The same subsequent request should be handled to the same mini situations, but this application should not handle that, should not require the session stickiness. But if you configure at listener level, it is going to applicable to all the target groups. So in this application, the group level, you are enabling that. But instead of that, if I may have this my requirement for this application that is required the session stickiness, but for this application it is not required, then how do you handle that? Recommended approaches is the target group level defining that. Is it clear that point?
Yes, sir. Means we have session stickiness at target group level, as well as we can apply it at a listener level,
Yes.
load balancer level.
Load balancer, listener level.
If it is a load balancer, then all the groups which are involved in the
By default,
load
it
balancer
will be
applied.
Applied, yes.
If it is this target group level, means for that group only it will be applied.
Yes, that is recommended. Actually, that's application scope level defining is recommended.
Okay.
Yeah, are you understanding all these points? So what do we understand? So listener configuration, then health settings defining that, and backend target groups. How do we register it on the particular listener? We can define the rules also. Particular path is received, which target group that we want to route it. That is also we can handle that. And the default algorithm, it uses the round robin as a number of, the instances which are in there. So it is going to use it the round, on the base of the instances, number of instances. The request to first instance, second instance, third instance, like randomly it is picking that, and one by one it is going to distributing the requests. But application sessions and sessions handling to reduce the latencies, then recommended is, so enable that the session stickiness on that particular application level. That is targeted. And this level, load balance level, what are the main configurations which are observed in the series? Mapping to the target group, and the important thing is a listener with rules defining. The listener with rules defining. So if you go to the load balancer, and here you can find that the listeners, in that listener, the rules. You can map it like if it is matched to this one or this one or this one, which target group that you want to map it, that can be defined. So this is an important section. The load balancer level, how you can manage it, the one listener to the multiple target groups on the base of the. So this is as we are talking about it, application load balancer point of view, these path-based routing rules we can define it. But if you go to the network load balancer, we cannot do this. Network load balancer only the TCP based or UDP rules, but you don't see that the path based routing rules to the backend target groups. That is the main difference between app load balancer and network load balancer. Yeah, so that's about the load balancer understanding. But today the instances, whatever we have taken, these are all like manually we are creating this, right? The manually we were adding these instances to the load balancer. But instead of doing that, as we are understanding, this now just we have seen high availability. Even one instance in one data center is down also, still we are able to route into that another data center instances with the load balancer. Load balancer URL is not impacted. Even my data center is down also, there are no issues with that. So that is load balancer, which is helping at multi-availability zone level. And you need to plan it to the instances at least 2 availability zones which are launching. That's why we are doing that, launching that instances at least 2 availability zones. So this is about high availability, and we are adding that the instances statistic, that is a manually. But if the load is increasing on these EC2 instances, then automatically you need to have that in the target group, some more instances adding that. Our load is decreased, then remove that unused instances. So how do we bring it that scalability feature is? That is the next concept which we have this, that is auto scaling groups. So this one we started tomorrow. So what is that auto scaling group and how that is going to helping that? Because I mean, now in this target group, we were adding that the manually, right? Instead of adding that, in this target group, we will define the auto scaling group instances. So automatically, whatever the launch template we are using, this launch template we will configure it to this auto scaling group, and we will instruct it launch 5 instances per main. Then it is going to take care of that 5 instances launching in the target group, and this target group is already mapped with the load balancer. Then the load balancer is going to route to the 5 instances which we have launched with this scaling group. So auto scaling group mapped to the target group, and target group, yes, which will be managed through the load balancer. Yeah, but today target group manually we were adding that all the registering instances. But tomorrow we will add the instances using auto scaling group. Is it clear now? The points. Please use the chart window and type that the C or CLR. If you understand these concepts. Okay, good to see that. Okay, thank you. That's all from my side, and any queries, please let me know. Otherwise, we'll wind up for today and we'll meet tomorrow.
No, sir. Thank you.
No, sir. Concept is clear.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Sir, can you just paste the runtime notes here?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Definitely. That's like a code which I have used. Let me share this one. Yeah, copy this one and paste it in the notepad and try to use it during the practice time.
Thank you.
Even this user data, let me update in the template also, because tomorrow whenever we are going to use it, that the template I'm going to use it is dynamic one instead of the static. Because about our template, whatever we were creating the before, this was having the user data. Let me modify the template. I'm going to use it that this 3 version. So this one we will use it tomorrow. But what is required? AMI is the same thing. T2 small, no, we don't want the T2 small, T2 micro.
So the template, if we keep template, it will have a snapshot, right, of the instance.
Instead of the snapshot, the template is recommended. Auto scaling group is going to take it that the input.
So I had a scenario like I have created instance and created snapshot, then we created a template. So I deleted I terminated the instant, but the snapshot was still present because of the template, since the template was linked to the snapshot.
Yes.
So I didn't see, after 2 days, I saw that there was one snapshot. I don't know whether I'll get a bill or not.
Yeah, snapshot, that's anyway, that's storage point of view. If you are using the limited one, then I don't get it the bill normally. But if you're keeping the long duration, only 2 days
After
only, right?
2 days, 2 days I
that's fine.
terminated
The
it.
maximum
Then
you
my
don't get the
template
bill.
got
You don't get the bill. But a snapshot, if you are keeping that, is nothing but backend, it is going to use the storage. The storage limit, if it is crossed, then it will be charged.
Okay.
Yes. But template, normally if you use it the default AMI, then it doesn't use it any snapshot.
Okay. Yeah, I created default AMI only, but I don't know why it got created. But when I terminated, it didn't show me.
Okay.
Later on, I realized it has a snapshot.
So normally, if you see this like a snapshots, in my context now, I don't have any snapshots.
Okay.
But my template is available, right? The template is available. Maybe you have created, you forgot that. Maybe
okay.
the refer that's one more time. But template is not going to use the backend, the snapshot. But AMI, if it is there, then it is going to use it that. Yeah, I'm just going to modify this template as per the tomorrow requirement. What is that? Yes, Amazon Linux to AMI, we are going to use it. Fine. And T2 micro, keep it. Okay, let me use that. AWS AMI. And subnets. Okay, let's that don't include anything. And security group is for the EC2 instance level. This is a security group. And advanced detail section, let me add it to this code. Instead of changing that at each EC2 instance level, now I'm just defining it at template level. Then whenever I use it, this template to 3 version, let me make it this template to 3. As a default one. That means whenever I use this template as a 3 version, ST2 micro and use the data. So that's everything we will get it there. Let me terminate these EC2 instances. We don't want all these EC2 instances, otherwise it is billing, right? So once if I terminate it, all will be shut down, then automatically the load balancer will get it. You see that 502 bad gateway. The backend services are not available. It is trying to connect it to the load balancer, but load balancer is not able to forward the request to backend. And let me remove the target group. I don't want this. Yes, delete it. So listeners are using that. Okay, the load balancer is using this, right? So let me first delete this load balancer. And now let's go for the deleting this. If it is reflecting. Okay, good. We are good. So make sure that you have cleared complete. Now I just have the template. Template I will use it this one, and we will launch that the instances. But template are not going to use it like any backend AMIs until if you have the default, the custom AMIs, then it uses that volumes and all that. But remaining now it doesn't use it any resources. But template is if you create number of templates also, it won't be chargeable. No issues with that. But load balancers, remove it the once that activity is done. Yeah, tomorrow we'll talk it the auto scaling group, managing this in the target group, and this target group routing through the load balancer. Yeah, so that's all from my side for today. We'll meet tomorrow. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.